Hey, Pastor Greg and Charlie back with you, talking about the theme and structure, the last intro part of the book in Jude as we dive into Jude. It's going to change your life. It's going to have influence because that's what the Word of God does. It's alive. But talking about theme and structure, let me read something to you. Jude comes quickly to this point, not content merely to expose error. He forcefully exhorts his readers and concludes with an eloquent benediction, which I love the conclusion of the book. We'll get to that at the end of the series. From his opening sentence, the author assaults error, threatens judgment, and encourages holiness. Always encourage holiness as you deal with error, false teaching, threatening judgment from God. Always encourage holiness. The description of the errors of the false teachers is poetic in its imagery. Verses 12 and 13 are beautiful in the poetry that's used there. And Jude, he just likes to arrange his thoughts in groups of three. Again, I'm reading from the Nelson Study Bible, and I'll comment on it. In verse 1, Christians are called, sanctified, and preserved. In verse 2, the author wishes another for his groupings of three for his readers: mercy, peace, and love. In verses 5 and 7, there are three illustrations of sin and judgment from the Old Testament. In verse 8, the false teachers are described as defiling the flesh, rejecting authority, and speaking evil of dignitaries. And in verse 11, there's three examples of rebellion from the scriptures in the Old Testament: Cain, Balaam, and Korah. So you got Cain, Balaam, and Korah, and they're given. All of this persuasive prose results in a strong encouragement, it says, to the faithful to contend earnestly for the faith in verse 3. So we know that Jude likes to write in pairs of three for comparison, for analogy, to drive home his points to your heart and to your mind. And I just want to remind you, as we now dive into the book of Jude, be faithful to study Jude on your own. Just don't depend on my study and my delivery and my preaching or teaching. Depend on your own study, but remember to study Jude in the context of what's going on historically. That's why I've taken 6 mini videos just to explain to you the background of the book of Jude. It's very important because it's a doctrinal book, but it's also a practical book on grace and love. It's very important to understand its context and how it relates to wokeism and all the false doctrines going on today that are getting sucked into people's lives, even in the American and the worldwide church. It's not healthy. False teachers, some people saying they're believers who aren't. They're into false doctrine, do not know Jesus personally, and they won't be the sheep that he calls at the judgment. They won't be with him. And so the issue is, know the pretenders, know the contenders, contend for the faith. Know the pretenders and know the contenders, the believers who do contend for the faith. God bless you. Enjoy your study in Jude. I'll be back with you with Charlie again.